Hello my lovelies, this is D-Licious Slice of Pie and welcome to the very first episode of the D-Licious Dissection, the show where I go episode by episode through RuPaul's Drag Race and dissect the episode, starting at the very beginning. Okay, I've been thinking about this since I started watching Drag Race 5 years ago, so I think I have it sorted out, so stay with me. So I'm going to be giving a review of each episode, and each time a new look is presented to us by the queens I'm going to be ranking them, and each time the queens perform in a certain category I'm going to be ranking them as well. And each time a new look is presented to us by the queens I'm going to give my own personal toot or boot, but we're not allowed to say that, so mine's going to be called Yum or Yuck. Obviously this is just my opinion, you can agree or you can be wrong, and that's okay. I just want to say up front that I literally hate zero of the Drag Race queens. I love all of them, they're all amazing in their own right, but that doesn't mean that some of their looks ain't ugly. After the Yum or Yuck section of my video, I'm going to be ranking the queens in 3 different ways to answer the ultimate question of Drag Race: who deserved to win? The first way I'll be ranking the queens is through something I call ruse placements. So I'm going to be using the actual placements of each queen in each episode and allocate them points based on their placements that Ru decided. Each week the queens gain or lose points depending on their placement, and it gives a cumulative result at the end of the season, which gives like an accurate representation of the queen's overall track record and makes it easier to compare and contrast. The winner of the week receives 2 points, high queens receive 1 point, safe queens receive 0 points, low queens lose a point, the queen who was in the bottom 2 that was not eliminated loses 2 points, and the queen who was eliminated loses 3 points. And any mini challenge winners receive half a point, just to kind of balance out the fact that mini challenges don't really count towards anything, but they carry some weight. The next way I'll be ranking the queens is something I call the D-Licious placements. This is based on my own personal opinion, and each time that the queens give us something that we can rank them in, I will be ranking them from best to worst. For example, in this first episode, as you'll see later, I rank the queens in 3 separate categories: their entrance look, their photoshoot look, and their drag on a dime runway, with a maximum of 9 points because there's 9 queens, and the lowest possible point being awarded is 1 per category. This will be cumulative across the season as well, just to give a full weight into each individual thing that the queens have to do to reach the crown. The final way I'll be ranking the queens is something I call fantasy placements. So this is basically a mixture of the last 2. Every week I'm going to use my rankings of the queens to assign the same point system as Ru, so that we can kind of merge the ideas together. This uses the D-Licious placements to decide which placement each queen should have got, in my opinion. Even if none of that made sense, it might make sense when we jump into it. Let's finally get into the episode. RuPaul's Drag Race Season 1, Episode 1, Drag on a Dime starts with entrance looks. First I'm going to go in order and then give my Yum or Yuck, and then at the end I'll do my ranking. I'm going to put pictures up in front of me whilst I talk, but for the entrance look I had to use the photoshoot pictures because there was no pictures of their entrance look. For now I'm just focusing on the looks, and then we'll come back to the photoshoot later. So the very first queen to ever walk into the RuPaul's Drag Race workroom is Chanel. I find the look a bit odd, but she's very sexy. It feels a little bit disjointed. The top and the bottom feel like 2 different looks. Not to mention she has her full colon on display. Overall the look is a yum. Next to walk into the room is Nina Flowers. Now this look is amazing. The colour on her, the fit, her makeup is stunning. It's just an all round yum. Then walks in Rebecca, who has a gorgeous face. And that's about it. Like a t-shirt and jeans. We have to be fair that the queens didn't really know what to expect, but still, she knew there would be cameras. And the cameras would be rolling. This is our very first yuck of the season. Then walks Ongina. This is how you do casual drag. Black and white, simple pattern, couture aspects with the headpiece. It's not so in your face, but it's a definite yum. Then comes in Pork Chop, and it might be a little simple, but the colour's beautiful on her. Same with the wig. Short hair looks really good on her. This is what you wear when you want to be really pretty but you're not sure what's going to happen. Overall the look is a yum. Then comes in the very first lip sync assassin of Drag Race. I'm in 2 minds about this. The colour is god awful. Cut of the outfit, her body, her hair, Even her makeup is really good. This is a yum. Next comes in Tammy Brown. I really love Tammy, but this is just hideous. The colour is atrocious. I don't mind the flow of the dress and the design, but it just doesn't suit her. Looks like she just picked her nose and just wiped it everywhere. Sorry Tammy, this is definitely a yuck. Next comes in Jade, and she just kind of has a nice go into the supermarket dress. Or like in one of those American malls where they have like the spinning cars and you put your name in and you hope you win, and she's standing beside it. She's like, oh look at this car, it has wheels on it. Yum. And finally comes in Bibi Zahara Benet. The red and short wig just really complements her skin beautifully. The red on the dress is just beautiful on her. And it might be a tad simple, but she carries it in such a regal way. This is a definite yum. Now I'm going to rank them from worst to best. The worst by far is Rebecca. I could get that at Primark. Next, but only barely, is Tammy with that hideous green dress. Next with 3 points is Jade. It was just too simple. Above her with 4 points is Akasha. Next is Chanel. Pork Chop's next. Angina's next. And I was going to put her second, but I decided to put her third place with 7 points. Second place goes to BB, which means in first place with 9 points is Nina Flowers. The queens are taken outside. Outside, drag queens, in the daytime, on a Sunday, God's day. Tammy was up first and she was clearly having fun, didn't take it seriously enough to get a nice picture out of it at the end. Then Chanel, she was very sexy but she wasn't playing to the camera enough and the final product is confusing. Pork Chop was a little unfocused because of the menses, but the final product was pretty good and that's what we're looking at. Nina was up next and she just had beautiful shape. She clearly knew how to work her body and her face, but we're doing it based on the very final picture they show us, and it just wasn't good compared to what we saw Nina do. Akasha was next and she was very clearly comfortable in front of the camera. She worked her body. Beautiful end product as well. Angina was very cute and comfortable and she clearly had fun. BB was again very regal even when doused with water, and the final product is just beautiful. Jade was next and she just worked her body. It was really good and the final product was the best picture of them all. Rebecca just generally looked uncomfortable and the final product was just really underwhelming. Not terrible, just underwhelming. Tammy's was by far the worst. Rebecca edges her out just a little by serving face. Chanel is next. Pork Chop edges her out and gets 4 points just because she was facing the camera. Angina was cute but not fierce, so she gets 5 points. Akasha was relying on her body a little bit too much. Nina gets 7 points only because it's based on the final product, not her whole performance. BB gets 8 points because she was gorgeous, regal, and she owned the photo shoot. She knew what she was going for and she got it. And although Jade may have been a little bit more timid, she just did have the best final product. Nothing really exciting happens during the walkthroughs, so I'm just going to jump straight to the runway. Nina comes down the runway first and she struts down that runway. The colour's gorgeous, the jacket's amazing. I'm not so sure about the length of the trousers and I'm not a fan of the ribbon over the face. I know it's supposed to be avant-garde but it doesn't really tell a story to me. I think she would have got the same result without it. This is definitely a yum. Next is Akasha and this is just so simple. It's not exciting in any way. Yuck. Angina was next and I loved her performance on the runway and I love the colour palette of her outfit, but it just loses all shape for me and it just eats her up, I think. The judges liked it but I'm not a huge fan. But overall it's a yum. Pork Chop's next and she herself says she hates it. How am I supposed to like it if she hates it? Tried to show her personality but it was still a yuck. BB walks around the runway and we hear RuPaul for the first time ever say Cameroon! I love that outfit. The hair's gorgeous, the wood chips as unconventional materials. With the filter of season 1 it kind of reads as leopard print, which I quite like. The body, the confidence, she owned the runway. This is a yum. Next is Chanel, half naked. The colours complement her well but it kind of looks half finished, but it's still a yum. Next is Jade and she just looks amazing. Her body is very tribal, the hair's amazing, the colour's great. This is a yum. Rebecca's look was just a black dress with some tinfoil on it. She looked like she was ready to be baked. It looks like a baked tie. This is a yuck. Next was Tammy, and Tammy looks beautiful as a blonde. This look is really good to me, and her personality shines on the runway. This is a yum. The worst has to be Pork Chop. If she doesn't believe in it, then why should I? Rebecca's was simple and tacky, but at least she tried to sell it, that's why she's above Pork Chop. Akasha's was also very simple. Angina's was really cute and I liked the colour, but the shape was just too much for me to overlook. Chanel's was really over accessorised, but the colour and her body was great. Nina's trousers and face ribbon were just a big miss for me, so Jay's look was cohesive and really beautiful. BB's look was cool and classy, and she didn't lose herself in the challenge. Tammy's was just overall really good. Now we're going to move on to Ru's placements. So for this episode, Nina was the winner, Angina was high, BB, Jade, Chanel and Tammy were all safe, Rebecca was low, Kasha and Pork Chop had to lip sync and Pork Chop was sent home. Now it's time for my placements. This is a wee reminder of the rankings for each individual category of the episode. The entrance looks, the photo shoot, and then the Drag on a Dime runway. I don't want to ignore the original material completely, so each episode, the person who Ru decided was the winner will get an extra point, the person who goes home will lose 2 points, and the person who survives the lip sync will lose a point. This will make it easier to break ties and just considers the show as well as my own personal opinion. So going lowest to highest, Rebecca has 5 points for the episode and Pork Chop has 9. Tammy and Akasha both have 12, Chanel has 13, Angina has 16, Jade has 19. And the top 2 of the week are Nina Flowers at 23 points and BB just beating her with 24 points. Now I'm going to combine the 2 methods and I'm going to use my placements to decide who should have been the winner, who should have been high, etc. So with my point system, BB should have been the winner of this episode, and Nina is high. Jade, Angina, Chanel are all safe. Akasha and Tammy tied, so I broke this tie by adding back Akasha's lost point. That means Tammy is unfortunately low, and Rebecca and Pork Chop lip sync. I'm not going to use my point system side between the bottom 2 who should go home, because the lip sync is all about saving yourself no matter how bad you did. I'm going to speculate each week who would have won out of the bottom 2 that my points dictated. And this week I don't think anyone would have went home to Pork Chop. Pork Chop would have went home no matter what. Each week I'm going to give my yummiest yum and my yuckiest yuck. This is the best look of the week and the worst look of the week. The very first yummiest yum goes to Nina's entrance look. Just a beautiful colour palette, beautiful hair, all round, just amazing. The yuckiest yuck goes to Pork Chop's runway. And each week I will also be issuing an award I have dubbed the Golden Wig, my favourite moment of the episode. And this week, Golden Wig goes to Tammy Brown using RuPaul's entrance. The show itself basically memed it. I've been D-Licious Slice of Pie with the D-Licious Dissection. Like, subscribe and follow me on Instagram. And down below in the comments let me know how you would have ranked them, and I'll tell you why you're wrong. Put this up on the YouTube. I am putting this on the YouTube. This goes on the YouTube.